a certain age, but I don't think it necessarily makes you look old.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I like salt and pepper.
Yeah. You know, remember the song Salt and Pepper?
You mean the group?
Is it a group or a song?
Yes.
It was a group.
Yes.
They have one song that is so funny. You know which one it is.
They have a lot of songs that say a lot of things, so I don't know which one you're talking about.
It's the most popular song they ever did.
That made you look old, what you just did.
It wasn't the beard.
I'm sorry. By the end of the show, we'll play it. Do we have to pay for it?
Probably.
Well, now we play under 30 seconds.
You can just sing it.
I'm not going to sing it.
Okay.
But I thought they're a group. They're not. It wasn't a song. Salt and Pepper.
Yeah.
My wife right now would just be horrified by me
cringing.
saying, well, she just likes hip hop and all the fun music, and she likes new groups, and she'd be horrified that I struggle.
Yeah,
with
and
that.
keeps you young.
Yeah, current, as she says.
Current. Yes.
Be current. All right, here we go. I spent a lot of time on this. Not sure why. What's the point? I like doing it. It's my top 10. It's a herd hierarchy. By the way, I'm not one of these sports guys that, I used to work at a company. I don't know what happened to them. But they used to just put the rankings based on the record, which is so hacky. Like, what does that mean? I do it based on the higher you go, I think you would beat the teams below you this morning. So that's how I do it. Like, here's the best teams if they played today. Here we go.
Herd hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
I'm going to put Cleveland in there. They've had the third easiest strength of schedule. Baker Mayfield, though, 4 games without a pick. So they've kind of figured. By the way, they have they throw the ball very few times and run it more than anybody percentage-wise in the league. They're 5-0 in one-possession games. They're the number 1 rushing offense. And I think I'm putting them here because of Kevin Stefanski. He has figured out, at best, Baker Mayfield is a complimentary piece. Run the football. Don't make mistakes. Easy schedule. We'll get into the playoffs. They're not a Super Bowl team. I'm not sure if they'll win a playoff game team. I don't think they can beat most AFC teams that'll win their division or wild card teams. But I think they've figured out what they are and what they're not. And for that, with their record, 5-0 in one-possession games, they're number 10.
Number 9.
But I think they'd lose to Tampa Bay, who I put at number 9. So they've had back-to-back losses. How can you do this, Colin? Folks, they lost close to Kansas City. It's a very good football team. Their defense is number 1 against the rush in the National Football League, number 2 in takeaways in the NFL this year. They humiliated Aaron Rodgers. It's a good football team. Tom Brady's got 28 TDs and 11 picks. That's already better than last year. They're fine. Now, Brady's also got the worst deep ball passer rating in the league. I think they have forced the ball down the field too much. I don't think that plays into Tom Brady's strengths, but they've had a tough schedule. They played the Saints twice. They played the Packers. They played Kansas City. This is a good football team, and I would take them over Cleveland.
Number 8.
But the Rams beat Tampa, so I put them at 8, and they're a good football team. Listen, Kyle Shanahan has got Sean McVay's number. Nobody else does, but Kyle Shanahan does. He's beaten them 4 straight games. First loss at SoFi Stadium. But again, it's a good football team. Number 2 in total defense. Number 2 in pass defense. I think they have the best secondary in the NFL. I would be concerned with Jared Goff in the last month. A lot of picks and a lot of fumbles, and Sean McVay rightly called him out for that. But this is an excellent team. If Goff is your weakness, then you have a chance to get to a Super Bowl eventually. Rams at 8.
Number 7.
But I put the Bills at 7 because they beat the Rams, even though it was a bad call at the end of the game. Here's what I like about it. Listen, Josh Allen can drive me nuts. He makes some dumb plays. But he's the only quarterback in the league with 20-plus touchdown passes and 5-plus rushing touchdowns. He's a horse. He's Big Ben. He's just a handful, and he drives me nuts, and he makes mistakes, and he did in college, and I think it's part of his DNA. He's going to drive me nuts his whole life. But I think this coaching staff is outstanding. Sean McDermott is now 4-0 off a bye. That's Andy Reid. That's Belichick. That's what the good coaches do. And their defense isn't great. But I'll say this, it's great situationally. It's great in the fourth quarter. They've got 10 takeaways in the last 5 games. That's tied for the NFL lead. And 10 takeaways in the fourth quarter, which is tied for the NFL lead. You don't have to be great defensively, but you have to be great at times. And they are, and I got them 7.
Number 6.
But I think they'd probably lose to Green Bay in a shootout. Listen, here's my problem with the Packers. They're 0-2 against teams with winning records, the Bucs and the Colts. They're 8-1 against everybody else. But It is fun to watch. I'd vote Aaron the MVP this morning. He's lighting it up. They have a star back, a star receiver, a star quarterback. I think their offensive line isn't great, but it's usually top third in the league. Now, they face one team remaining with a winning record, Tennessee. So people think I have them low. I have them at 6 because I think they beat the Bills. That's where I have them.
Number 5.
But I think the Titans would beat the Packers because King Henry would run down their throat. The Titans are a funny team. I don't think they can get to the Super Bowl, but good God, I'd have no interest playing them in the playoffs. They scare me. I mean, it's like I think Lennox Lewis was a better fighter than Tyson, but I think I'd rather face Lennox Lewis than I would Mike Tyson. Titans, fewest giveaways in the NFL. They never give you the ball. They try to just run it down your throat, and if they get into a mood, you'll just sit and watch them run the football. Ryan Tannehill, by the way, is at 8 straight games with a touchdown pass. When it comes to running the football, nobody can physically humiliate you in the league like Tennessee, and so I put them at 5.
Number 4.
But I take the Seahawks to beat them on a neutral field. I think Seattle, excellent coaching and GMing, they solved their pass rush in season. 19 sacks and 47 pressure since getting Carlos Dunlap and Jamal Adams on the field together. Both are the most in the NFL. They have solved their pass rush, which was a big question in September and October, and it's also simultaneously, what do you know, made their secondary, which isn't great, good at safety but not great, it's made that better. Their big issue now is can Chris Carson stay healthy, and the offensive line outside of left tackle is a bunch of meh.
Number 3.
Saints. Listen, they've won 8 straight games, longest streak in the NFC, and I got to be honest with you. If you can keep winning with backups, you win. They're 8-0 since week 4. They're first in point differential, first in yardage differential, third in points per game, and first in points per game allowed. What do you want me to say? And they're doing it with Taysom Hill, and they did it last year with Teddy Bridgewater. They went 13-3, 13-3, and it looks like this year they'll go 13-3. Well coached, smartly run, very good line play. I do think there are limitations to them going over the top, but that's why I have them 3.
Number 2.
And have the Steelers number 2 because they can beat you over the top. They're also 5-0 in one-possession games. Let's be honest. They get a little lead on you, and then they suffocate you with that pass rush. They have the number 1 scoring defense. They're number 1 in sacks. They're number 1 in takeaways in the NFL. And now, they play the second easiest schedule. So I do not think they can beat my number 1 team.
Number 1.
Kansas City. What do you want me to say? I mean, they're the only team in the league down 3 scores and you wouldn't care. In Kansas City's offense since week 5 is number 1 in everything that matters. They had a hiccup against the Raiders in a loss. Other than that, since week 12 last year, ahead, they can play with a lead. They can play finesse. They can run the ball. My only real consideration for Kansas City that worries me is they're a little bit the Golden State Warriors. I said this yesterday. When you score so dramatically and quickly and brilliantly that sometimes you lack urgency, and there are times I feel like they go out there and they're just kind of just 7-on-7 it. They don't have a ton of urgency. They're kind of flipping it backwards and kind of experimenting a little bit, but it's the best team in the league. I have not seen an NFL team score this quickly or so brilliantly. I can't name it. I don't know. I can't compare it to anything. It's different, and so Kansas City is number 1. So let's look at it again. Kansas City would beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh would beat New Orleans. New Orleans would beat Seattle. Seattle would beat Tennessee. Tennessee would pound Green Bay physically. Green Bay would win a shootout with Buffalo. Buffalo beat the Rams. Rams beat the Bucks. And I think the Bucks would beat the Browns. There you go.
I have no issues. Maybe I would put Green Bay above Tennessee.
Yeah. I just think the ground
But they
game,
both have holes.
Yeah. I mean, they play each other week 16. And I like Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Pretty happy with it. Brian Westbrook, the former Pro Bowler with the Eagles. What do you do about Carson Wentz? What are they saying? Plus, Seth Joyner joins us today, and Andrew Whitworth of the Rams all coming up. Been doing more driving these days. People aren't flying as much. They're staying indoors. Thanksgiving, people didn't want to get on planes. Instead, they got in their car and drove. And for a lot of the country, I just saw reports this morning, snow in the south. I saw snow. I was following Jim Cantori of the Weather Channel. There's snow in the south, big snow in Ohio. Got to get those wiper blades right. Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades. Only place to get them is Walmart. crafted with advanced quad tech. It's 4-layer coated silicone. It repels sleet and water and snow and ice. That's why they last 2 times longer than all other blades on the market. Weather's bad now, no question about it. Get your wipers right for the next 3.